Hello, Mr. Jack. How are you, sir?
Very good, Mr. Chairman.
Good to see you.
Good to see you and members of the board, Dr. Casey. I'm with J.C. Boma and Catherine O'Donnell today for our annual presentation.
Welcome.
Thank you. And more good news that you've been hearing all day. Tourism is back. I know you've all been traveling, but going right into the holiday season, we're on fire. We're at record levels. This just shows you that when the pandemic hit in 2020 March, we didn't know how long it would take us to get out of it. It took us a year and a half to get out. But when we came out, we've come to record levels. This shows you that we have now 6.4 million visitors overnight. These are the numbers from Virginia Tourism, and that what will happen is that the travel expenditure for Chesterfield is at an all-time high. These numbers just came out last month, and this is, of course, significantly higher than last year, but it's the best we've ever done here. This is just a reminder of our three parts of our tourism master plan. Mr. Holland sits on our board, the headquarters hotel that is assisted by the chairman of the Greater Richmond Convention Center Authority, Dr. Casey, Regional Inspiration Campaign with the Chamber and Greater Richmond Partnership, and also the Hospitality Workforce Development. And then just to remind you, these are the secret of our success. These are the 4 pillars of travel. Tourists and leisure at an all-time high. Family and friends, of course, with the holidays, we're just killing it. Business travelers, that's where we're still hurting, but not as bad as Northern Virginia or the major cities. And then meetings, conventions, and sports, and JC will touch on that.
JC, good to see you.
Mr. Winslow, members of the board, Dr. Casey, it's great to be here and join our friends in Parks and Recreation and sports backers to talk about sports tourism. But also, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't quickly mention the profile you guys have with the Sheraton, the Doubletree, the Rising Shameen Stonebridge Complex, because all of this plays a part, not just sports tourism, but meetings, conventions that all add to this visitor profile. But it's been a record year for our meetings, events, and conventions, including sports tourism, with over 63% increase since last fiscal year. We always like to talk about those top 5 sports because we've always talked about soccer and lacrosse at River City. But again, we're seeing an increase in events like softball and baseball here in Chesterfield County as well. So Chesterfield, again, really plays into that regional profile. But looking at Chesterfield County specifically, and thanks to Mr. Luther and his team for putting together these numbers, but you'll again see we're trending up from where we were the last 2 fiscal years and big impact here in Chesterfield County. But I think if you look at that direct tax revenue number, 1.28 million direct in tax revenue to the county, that with all those projects Mr. Harris talked about, and again, it is visitors who are helping us raise our profile and create facilities that our constituents and visitors can enjoy alike. And I think when you look at these numbers, we must remind those listening and those in front of us here, that's what Chesterfield County has at their facilities. If there's an event in other parts of the region, whether it's West Creek Soccer Complex right there on 288, where do those visitors stay? Right here in Chesterfield County as well. So again, these numbers represent what you see here in Chesterfield County directly, and it's been a great year thanks to Mr. Luther and his team and everyone here in the county. A couple weeks ago, you saw this Richmond Times-Dispatch article, and I think one of the big quotes in there that I'd like to highlight, and this is thanks to you as Board of Supervisor members, but that investment. We don't do what we do without the investment into facilities like River City Sportsplex, without new investments into facilities like Horner Park and Iron Bridge. Again, it's investment, and it's the team you have in here in Chesterfield that helps us win these bids, that helps bring people to the region, and mostly helps fill your restaurants, your attractions, and your hotels here in Chesterfield County. But we also have to be looking ahead. I referenced talking about soccer, lacrosse, softball. Everybody's doing softball, soccer, lacrosse, all up and down the East Coast, all nationally. But if you look at these are just 3 examples from the last fiscal year of niche events that we talk about at River City Sportsplex. Spike ball, kickball, flag football, the wave of what we're doing and how we will continue to be an award-winning destination for sports tourism is because of the staff and the customer service they bring to not just the major sports we talk about, but these niche sports that will continue to make us just a little bit better than any other destination on the East Coast. You look at our foundation, because of the success that our local groups have had here in Chesterfield County and the region, it's what makes our sports tourism profile nationally extremely well known. When you create that local base and operators can come to the Richmond region, come to Chesterfield County and know that they're going to have local registration, that's what helps us win these bids. And so our foundation continues to give back to these local groups through events like the RVA Sports Awards that Mr. Holland, I know you had your moment there with Tiki, but again, it's the funding from our foundation that gives back to these local operators. How can you guys, as Board of Supervisor members, continue to help? Mr. Holland, I know you've been through this, but continue to recommend your constituents, your employees, and your partners to become I Am Tourism ambassadors. Invite your friends and family, not just over the holidays. We have so much to see and do here in the Richmond region, but also think about those conferences, those associations you're members of. And also, thanks to all of you, I know you see our monthly advocacy emails, but help us continue to tell that story. Help us to continue to show that data that Jack referenced earlier. And with that, Catherine O'Donnell.
Hey, Catherine.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors, Dr. Casey. Glad to be here with you. We're going to quickly whip through some trends and data on travelers. You have some of this in your packets in your economic impact brochure, but we're seeing some interesting changes that now, since the pandemic, more visitors are coming from out of state than in state, which is a great shift. And you can see some of the markets here. New York has become a great market for us for leisure travel, which is new. And so we're able to tell where to invest our marketing. This sort of highlights some of the effect and the ROI of our advertising. We're able to track it through some really interesting technology. And so we know that when our advertising is run, we know when people buy hotel rooms and come here via plane, and you can see that it drives visitors to our region, and that's exactly what we want to do. When we look at our demographics, they're holding pretty steady, and again, this is in the impact brochure in your packet, so I won't spend too much time here. But part of what we need to do is to get the Richmond region and Chesterfield County on the traveler's radar. So we do that through marketing, advertising, and public relations. This is some sample articles that have run that have featured places in Chesterfield County. That's really important because we can only do so much with the advertising. We need the media to tell the story and convince people to choose our region as a destination for travel. Similarly, we want to do the same on social media. So our social media has a great following, and we're constantly promoting assets all over the region, including some examples here from Chesterfield, and getting activities inspiring folks both locally and from out of town of things to see and do in our region. We have a very brief video about positioning the region as a pet-friendly destination. However, I think we're going to skip it due to time, but we'd be happy to email it to you all. But we know that folks adopted pets during the pandemic, so we're really riding that trend and doing a whole marketing campaign for people to bring their furry friends to the Richmond region on vacation. So look for that in your email later. Oops, there it is. I won't skip it. So now I want to shift gears away from marketing and talk about the Tourism Improvement District possibility that we've been working on. I believe you all have mostly been briefed on this so far, but the purpose of the Richmond Region Tourism Improvement District is to create additional funding that will drive hotel visitation and room night generation for the hotels in our region through marketing and sales activities. There's been a steering committee that's been working on this project for about a year now. The members are listed here to really guide what this would look like. The key to note here is that most of the folks on the steering committee are members of the hotel community. We have also been socializing it with hotels across the region for the better part of 6 to 8 months. So we've gotten a lot of buy-in and a lot of support on this concept. And so the way this would work is that in the funding jurisdictions that we represent, which are Chesterfield, Hanover, Henrico, Ashland, the City of Richmond, and Colonial Heights, all hotel businesses with 41 rooms or more would add a 2% fee to their overnight bill. And then the fee goes into a fund that is managed and executed by Richmond Region Tourism in partnership with a governing committee made up of hoteliers that would be put into programming specifically and legally designed to benefit the hotels. The Code of Virginia, which was enacted in 2021 to allow these mandates that the payors, the hotels, must benefit from the way that the funds are spent. And the term of the TID, the Tourism Improvement District, would be 10 years. So examples of how the money would be spent would be financial incentives to secure large-scale, high-profile sporting events and conventions, leisure marketing like we were just talking about, just to take that message even further and drive hotel room night stays. We can add additional market segments. We can only reach so far with our dollars now, but if we have more investment, we can go to different markets, such as some of the places that we're seeing direct flights just recently announced from the airport. So we want to advertise in those markets to get those people to come here. And then all the hotels in the TID would be included their dues for the Virginia Restaurant Lodging and Travel Association. So there would be an annual work plan that we would put forward in partnership with this governance committee made up of the hoteliers that would be approved by them with a budget and key performance indicators. So the legal document that you will see and we'll be asking you to consider later, it's for sort of broad on how you can spend the money because we want to be flexible since it is a 10-year plan. And then each year, the annual budget and work plan will be very specific based on market conditions. So the estimation for the first year of collections would be just over $8 million. And you can see here the draft budget spend. This is, again, at the direction of the steering committee. The bulk of the money would go towards, again, sales and marketing initiatives to drive business. There's a significant contingency in reserve because we know that we need to be able to save up large pots of money to use as incentives. So as we see facilities come on across the region, places like Green City, places like River City Sportsplex, we know that there are high-profile events we can host in our region, but they take millions of dollars just as hosting fees. So this would allow us to save up a pool of money to be able to do that. And the rest would be for administration. So the process for this is that we've, again, had the steering committee sort of leading the way. We've been socializing this with the hotels for the last several months and with government leaders in the entire Richmond region. We've got the plan approved. We've worked with your county attorney and the attorneys from the other jurisdictions to have the legal document ready. And we launched the petition process just 2 weeks ago. So the way that it works per the code is that the hoteliers need to sign a petition in favor of it. And we need 51% of the hoteliers in each jurisdiction to sign the petition in favor of the TID. Minimum. We want to get more of that, obviously, to show support. Already in Chesterfield, we have 57% signatures, and that's just in the 2 weeks that we've been working on it. So more to come in, but we feel we had a verbal commitment from the hotel community in Chesterfield that was closer to 70%. So very strong support from your hoteliers. So after that process wraps up, which is what we're in now, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll get all the petitions signed and ready for each jurisdiction. Then it would come to you all for considering an ordinance that would enact the TID for Chesterfield that we would do in tandem with all the other jurisdictions, with it taking place beginning July 1, 2023. So I'll just wrap up quickly and then take TID questions or others if you have it. But I just want to reiterate that our team at Richmond Region Tourism loves this community. We're experts in our destination, and we have a passion and a commitment that's unmatched. And every day we work to bring visitors here, and we're very proud to do that on your behalf. And thank you for your time, and we look forward to answering any of your questions.
Any questions? Mr. Carroll?
Mr. Chair, just a comment. We sit on other committees in the region. Capital Region Airport Committee is one that commission we sit on, and we've seen through our reports there the increase in flights coming in to the Richmond area. And then sitting on the CVTA, looking at the fuel sales tax and the sales tax numbers that are coming in that are actually above what the state's projections were. All of that goes with this information that you're showing us, that if the people weren't coming here and they weren't spending their money in our community, we wouldn't see these increases in these other areas. So it all matches, the data all matches together is my point about bringing this up.
Very true.
I would just say, we rely on Richmond Region Tourism. We had a VACO conference course this week, and we had a panel on sports tourism that was well attended, and I had Dennis Bickmeyer and Michael Rojas from Prince William on this panel with me, and there was a lot of interest statewide from localities looking to start this, and some of them are just thinking about it now. And so we had a really good discussion. I think we planted some seeds, and I just want to thank you all because you all are the backbone behind this conversation with all of your great analytics and letting us know year over year how we're doing. I looked back in time, and in 2012, we had a $14.5 million impact from sports tourism in Chesterfield. Now it's 34.5. So you look at that progress just in 10 years, and I think your progress reports help us, achieve the next level. So anyway, we appreciate you all so much, and Jack, thank you, and JC as well, thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you all for being here. Jack, we greatly appreciate your leadership for Richmond Region Tourism. And as you know, as you see in those numbers, families travel. That's mom, dad, and the children. And that accounts for hotels, restaurants, and the spending in our location. That's very important. As noted, VACO was here this past week, and that impacts, again, hotels and restaurants. And regarding the TID, I think it's well planned out, and the hoteliers are involved in that. And that's and I shared with some others the other day that the money is structured so that it's not spent anywhere and everywhere.
Correct.
It has a focus on increasing tourism and spending on tourism in this area. And there is a need, I know from my service on the board for a number of years, how much we need to increase that. So I'm very supportive of that, Ted, and I know you're going to spend it well and wisely. And that's the thing I can assure you as a board member for Richmond Region Tourism. Thank you.
Dr. Miller.
Just a quick question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This week, Carnival Cruise Lines announced that they're going to be coming out of Norfolk, which is a really big deal. I was curious to know if you've already been thinking about, I know it's initial, but just how we could benefit from that.
We will be. We just heard about it too. So yeah, it's news to us and it's very exciting to see how we could market folks coming to this region on their way there or on the way back if they're going to be leaving from Norfolk. So we'll come back to you with some ideas on that. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lugbill.
John, how are you, sir?
All right, Mr. Chairman, you're doing great. Members of the Board of Supervisors, Dr. Casey, really providing a really quick overview here on some different sports tourism activities that are really driving home the point. I think you've had a wonderful presentation from Richmond Region Tourism on where we are and how far we've gone. But I want to give some overview on some facilities, but also why it's so important for attracting people to come here, to live in Chesterfield, to move their businesses here, and how instead of having to pay people to come here and check out Chesterfield County, they're paying to come here and check out Chesterfield County. So we have our Tacky Light Run. We had a wonderful turnout during the pandemic, and we're going to have the event again this year, December 10th. Believe it or not, it's going to be our 10th year. Walton Park goes all out. We don't always get to pick what our community's great at. Chesterfield County's great at tacky lights, so we got to keep this going. Yeah, we need no rain. For years, we've been coming to you talking about how your competition is really outside of the Richmond region and really outside of the state. And so I wanted to kind of give you a glimpse real quickly on two other complexes, one in Delaware and one down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, that you were kind of on par with River City the way it is today. And then I'll put up what it's going to look like with the improvements through the bond referendum. So in Delaware, you're talking about 12 synthetic turf fields, all lighted, very similar to River City. They used to have Wi-Fi, restaurant quality concessions, public meeting rooms. They did charge for parking, but it really was a wonderful facility, is a wonderful facility. Truist Sports Park down in Winston-Salem is really a very nice facility, 13 full-size soccer fields, 11 grass, 4 with turf, playground, picnic shelter, very much park amenities. It is a very well-planned facility. But then if you look at the future of River City and how you all of a sudden jump to 16 turf fields instead of the 12 that you have now, adding the walking paths, the playground, the additional bathrooms, really making it a place where you spend the day. This is leaping ahead of your competition. So I just want to say congratulations, well done. Too often we've been telling you got work to do. Here we're saying you're going to be one of the leaders in the East Coast. So don't think of this as competition in Virginia. Think of this as how we're beating Delaware and North Carolina. Pocahontas State Park. Throughout the pandemic, Pocahontas has seen just use go skyrocketing. They have separated their mountain bike trails from their hiking trails. They've added significant miles of trails. There is a huge opportunity here for this even to continue to grow. So we look forward to working with the county. We think there's going to be a lot of activity related to Pocahontas. We did have the Ragnar Trail Relay return this past year. It brings about 2,000 people. They spend the night out there running and camping in Pocahontas State Park. They had a 2-year hiatus because of the pandemic, but they're back. The Fall Line Trail, just brief update, 43 miles, 17 miles in Chesterfield County. Design build sections in Chesterfield County will be starting in 2023. 23 miles of the trail should be going out to bid in 2023. So we are seeing all sorts of action. We also just received notice of a grant today to help with a vision plan for all the extras along the trail besides the 12-foot wide paved portion. So we look forward to working with all 7 localities, but particularly you all have the most miles. And this is going to be a national attraction that you're going to have right through. And in the south, it'll connect to the Lower Appomattox River Trail and the Virginia Capitol Trail in the middle of it. It's going to be a tremendous amenity that all of your residents will be able to use on a regular basis, but it'll also be something great to show off to the visitors. This was a recent field trip we took. We had a great turnout of staff from throughout all 7 jurisdictions, but Chesterfield was well represented. We went up to the DC area and checked out the trails there and bringing the best practices back here. So we look forward to working with you all on that. So overall, sports tourism is thriving in Chesterfield County. The future looks even brighter, and hopefully we keep these people paying to come in here and check out Chesterfield County. Thank you.
Questions from Mr. Leadville, sports backers? One of the things you touched on with Pocahontas, I mean, we can get so much more use out of that state park. It's still a hidden gem, and people just don't know it's there. It's amazing. And so I really appreciate your effort, your organization's efforts to make that happen. Again, providing good data for us to be able to go off of, and how do we make this better? How do we make this experience more attractive and more engaging for everyone?
Yeah, and I think the fact that the state park and the state forest have merged into one 8,000-acre park really opens up a lot of the park for additional recreational amenities, whereas before it was largely kept for state forest. So I think that's a change that it happened 10 years ago, but it takes a while for some of that to change into what's actually on the ground.
Mr. Chair.
Please, Mr. Carroll.
Don't forget, they have campgrounds there. They have some beautiful house structures that they built in the last couple of years. Joe, I think you've actually stayed in one of them. I think Jesse did too. And they also have equine events that they hold there with all the horse trails are on the southern part of, so there's a lot more than just biking and hiking at Pocahontas and the water facilities.
Yeah, it really is an incredible facility, and it's right in the center of Chesterfield County.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you.